There is literally peace and quiet here. There is no sound except nature. Good morning, everyone. It still is pretty quiet, although I have heard a few pieces of lawn equipment. Spending this week trying to get rested, decompressed, connecting to the Lord for certain, but just, a lot of you all are unaware of how much physical strain someone like me is under to have a 5 times a week show, and also edit 3 books simultaneously. That's a lot of work to do. Today is October the 7th. Many of us remember what took place 2 full years ago, the Hamas attack on Israel, the hostages. We've seen what's taken place over the past 2 years. Recognition of an independent Palestine by different Western powers. Exponential rise in anti-Semitism, anti-Judaism, and anti-Zionism. We've seen what's been taking place with major influencers, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and various others. And while I do believe, especially as negotiations for the return of the hostages are in play, we've got the Trump peace plan, which could very well be implemented. And while we might see a stabilization of sorts in the Middle East, the social and religious changes are going to be very difficult to see crawl back. Growing replacement theology among Christian conservatives, that's only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. People who were raised in 1990s, 2000 aughts evangelicalism, which supported Israel, they're going to be people who question that increasingly. The future of our own Messianic faith community over the next 5 to 10 years between now, the end of the 2020s and beginning of the 2030s. These are some serious things which we're not going to be in the same Messianic movement by the end of the decade. So when we, go to get away, these are things I do pray about, I do sort through. We do have some at least informal conversations about, and how much of it's going to be able to be traced to October the 7th, 2023. We'll wait and see what the next week brings. We continue to pray for the release of the hostages. As always, number 1, pray for peace. Israel, Hamas, the Middle East. Number 2, pray for peace, Russia and Ukraine. And of course, number 3, pray for reason and sanity to prevail here on the American home front. So keep us in your prayers this next week. I am going to be, as I've said, doing McKee Moments late afternoon, just to keep you posted on some of the things which are circulating in my mind. I am going to be doing some light reading, light editing work in the afternoon, mainly on the Messianic Sabbath Helper, which is on the 2nd round, possibly also the Romans for the Practical Messianic Commentary, which is on the 2nd round. 2nd round always goes faster than the 1st round. So just keep us on your prayers. We love you, and keep you posted later this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Mid-afternoon, continuing to get rest. I have been reading through the Messianic Sabbath Helper a little bit. Took a nice little nap. I'd like to reflect on something very, very important, especially in view of today being October the 7th, and what I know is very upsetting regarding the rise of replacement theology, supersessionism, a lot of conservatives, quote unquote, reevaluating their perspective on Israel, and basically coming to a conclusion that the church is the new Israel. And we've definitely been down these roads before, but I know that right now there are a lot of people out there who are really trying to connect with things like Paul within Judaism. When I was in seminary 20 years ago, of course, it was the new perspective of Paul, James Dunn, N.T. Wright, that sort of thing, wanting to place Paul, Yeshua, in some kind of Second Temple Jewish context, and the belief that, well, if we're able to do that, then people can see that Jesus was Jewish, Paul was Jewish, and they operated as Second Temple Jews in wanting to see the nations, Greeks and Romans, come to faith in the Messiah of Israel. And there was no replacement of Israel intended by some new church entity. It was the plan all along to see the message of Israel's God go out to the world at large. And I understand that there continues to be some work done in that field. But one of the things we have to keep in mind is how many in academia are hopelessly naive when it comes to the geopolitical situation on the ground. And it's very difficult, even if subconsciously, wanting to reconnect to Second Temple Judaism, for people to say, but this has nothing to do with the situation between Israel and Palestine today. I mean, subconsciously, there are many people who do make the connection between what's happening in the Middle East today and, well, they never learned in the Second Temple period. That's why the Jews lost the temple, and they're never going to learn today. If you're involved in the Messianic movement, you're involved in it for far more reasons than just wanting to reconnect to your faith heritage in the scriptures of Israel. You're part of a movement which is going to eventually result in the return of Yeshua to planet Earth. And there's always been an end time component to this. Now, we need to avoid, as best as we can, unwarranted speculation and fear-mongering. But sooner or later, that end-time element is going to kick in a significant way. And while we do need to understand Yeshua, Paul, for who they were as Second Temple Jews, monotheistic Jews who believed in the Messiah of Israel, who wanted the nations to turn from their idolatry and turn toward the God of Israel and be grafted in as wild olive branches, we also need to recognize how those of us who embrace these truths are doing so in conjunction with Jewish believers, what's happening in the land of Israel today, and how we're getting closer to the Lord's return. We don't want to subject God to a timetable. We'll probably discuss some of that more tomorrow, but we don't need to be naive about it. And what's happened as a result of October the 7th is a lot of people have been shaken up to the political realities of our time, and they're no longer, I'm just going to retreat into some ancient period in my reading of the Bible. They're trying to pay attention to those ancient warnings for today. Good evening, everyone. We've just finished our dinner. I had smoked a brisket before leaving, so we reheated it. It turned out very well. I'm a little drowsy right now because of eating all this food, but the afternoon went pretty well. I took a small nap, just been thinking about a lot of things. The theme for today has been October the 7th, dealing with some of the short-term geopolitical consequences and, of course, the long-term social consequences. This evening, more information is coming out about Candace Owens' ongoing devolution. Of course, we'll just let that drama play out in the coming months. There's also continues to be, I think, unwarranted speculation about Charlie Kirk's death. Just all these other things, which, I know get a lot of people upset, but certainly get people paying attention to when we are in human history and what is happening to Western civilization. So the theme for today, October the 7th, its long-term implications, and of course, contemporary other matters have intersected with that. So Hag Sameach to you and yours, and I'll join you again tomorrow. And here we go, the moon, even more beautiful. Oh yeah.